Welcome to this week's edition of Smart Counsel for Lunch. I'm Leah Kofos, and I'm one of the attorneys here at the law firm of Samuel, Sayward, and Baylor in Dedham, Massachusetts. We focus our practice in the areas of estate planning, probate, elder law, and estate and trust administration. So this week, I want to talk to you all about organization. I want to break this video into three different parts. The first part, we'll be talking about your assets, how to organize your assets. Second part is financial just professionals in your life, financial advisors, lawyers, accountants, so on and so forth. And the third part is family, contact information. So really, let's talk about the first one. So assets, right? There's a common misconception that there's some sort of database out there where if somebody passes away, your family members are going to be able to go to this database and figure out where all of your assets are. That's actually not the case. So typically what happens is if that person has done an estate plan, or if they have an accountant that has done their taxes, those are the people who would be familiar with their assets, at least from the last time that the person talked to those professionals, right? So, on a personal note, every single client that comes in, we as attorneys here, we ask for their assets, right? We have them fill out an asset spreadsheet, and we actually update that spreadsheet every single time a client makes updates to their estate plan. So if you are a new client, you come in, you fill out this asset spreadsheet. That's great. It allows us to figure out what plan is best for you. It allows us to figure out how to fund your trust, what's the best way to structure your assets to fund your trust. But it also just gives us an idea of, if something happens to you, if you pass away, then we have these assets, at least a starting line to go off for, probate, if a probate is necessary, but otherwise for trust funding, trust administration. So it's a really good idea to update those assets I'd like to say on an annual basis. You can update them with us, certainly, but at least if you have a record of them, that's great. That's a great starting point. So that kind of brings me to the second question is professionals in your life. You may have an accountant, you may have a financial advisor, you may have an estate planning attorney, right? It's a really good idea to keep a record of those people, of who you've used. Those people are generally pretty familiar with your assets. They will be a really, really great resource for your family after something happens to you, for your family to go and figure out what to do next, right? They are not going to know who you use unless you tell them. So again, there's no database out there saying, I have my will done, I have my trust done with Samuel, Sayward, and Baylor, or I have I use my local accountant who I adore, but nobody knows his name. So a really great idea for this is keeping a record of all of those professionals so that if somebody does need them, if somebody needs to talk to them or figure out, again, on our end, even if you have an estate plan, because they may not know, finding this record of professionals that you've used in the past and that you continue to use and have a relationship with is a really great resource for your family members. Last thing I want to talk about is your family members. So contact information is huge. Obviously, much of your family probably has contact information for other family members. But what if you've named somebody as an agent in your documents? So, for example, a trustee in your documents that isn't necessarily a family member, but is just a close friend. Your family might not know how to contact them. They might not have a phone number for them, for example. They might not have an email for them. And if this person lives in a different state, it might be hard for your family to contact them and actually track them down. So what we recommend is keeping a list of important people in your life, agents that you've named in your documents, family members, certainly beneficiaries, and how to contact those people. That is something that would likely change since the first time you signed your estate plan. If you have a relationship with an estate planning attorney and that lasts 20, 30, 40 years, then it's very likely that somebody's going to be moving in that time and potentially they have a new phone number, they have a new email. It's a long period of time for nothing to change. So I always recommend keeping a list of that information. That's another thing where every single time you come in to make an update to your estate plan, we will get that information from you. but it's a good idea just in case you don't get the chance to update it. It's a really good idea to keep a record of that somewhere in your house. If you remember, certainly give us a copy as well, but at the baseline, it's a good idea to have it written somewhere. Now, kind of to wrap up, how do you do all of this? All right, there are some resources out there that could be helpful for you. I know a lot of people have their own way of doing things. A lot of people have their own spreadsheets. Um, you can have a filing cabinet with this information in it. But there are some really nifty things out there, some really handy things out there that could help you with organization of all of these things. So number one, we keep hearing, clients keep telling us about something called a knock box. That's very interesting. It's basically just a box that it has different sections for all of this different, all of this information. And you're able to put the information in that box and it organizes it for you, essentially. So you don't have to really put a whole lot of thought into the organization aspect of it. So that's one way to do it. We've recently found a book, it's on Amazon. I'm sure you can find it in other places, but something called I'm Dead, Now What? All right. So that's a book that you can actually physically write things in. I believe that there's a section at the beginning for paperwork if you want to put some papers in there. The knockbox is more for actual papers that you put in that box. The book, or you can keep your own book too, a journal or something with this information in it, but it's more for written information. So you can do either one of those. If you have a third way to do it or a better way to do it, let us know because a lot of clients ask us for all of this, and we have our own ideas, but I'm always interested to hear what clients do and what works for clients. Um, s- and that's pretty much it. So if you have any good ideas about organization, feel free to let us know next time you talk to us. Otherwise, I hope that this helps you um, in organizing your important information because this is the stuff that helps out. This is the stuff that helps your family have a much easier time after your incapacity or after your death. And the whole goal here is that we want them to have as easy a time as possible. So it would really help. Some organization certainly go a long way. So that's it. I hope you all have a great week. We'll check in next week. As always, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button below. If you want to hear more about, any of these topics, estate planning, elder law, estate and trust administration, and probate. Um, or if you want to be notified when we post a new video, which we try to do once a week or so. Yeah. All right. So until next time, take care.